If you're watching this on YouTube and you want more exclusive crypto content from CNBC, hit the subscribe button now. Bitcoin battling the 7,500 level as the SEC takes off its gloves and sues Keek for $100 million. Is Keek in trouble? And are they worried? Tonight we talk to their CEO and legal experts to get the facts. Block.one launches a social media platform on EOS. But how big is this announcement? And what's happening with the $4 billion they raised in the IO? Tonight we pose some tough questions to Brendan Bloomer, CEO of Block.one. Facebook said to be making good progress on their crypto plans, while the board calls for Mark Zuckerberg to step down as chairman. The United Nations hosts crypto in New York, while Justin Sun and Warren Buffett plan their $5 million lunch date. Never a dull moment in this industry, and never a dull moment on the only station that's all in on crypto. This week's edition of Crypto Trader starts right now.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.
The SEC is suing Keek for $100 million. In court papers filed this week, the SEC accused Keek of raising capital through the sale of unregistered securities. The lawsuit is the first such lawsuit filed by the SEC and is seen as an aggressive attack not only on Keek, but on the entire US crypto industry. Despite the aggressive nature of the filing, Keek is adamant that they won't be bullied by anyone, especially not the SEC. With me on the line from San Francisco, I've got a man who's got big balls, to say the least. I've got the founder of Keek, Ted Livingston. Ted, I'd say it's been a rough couple of days for you.
I think it's been exciting. We've been waiting for this for a long time.
Okay, tell me what that means. When was the first time you heard from the SEC?
We first heard from the SEC over 18 months ago, 3 days after our token sale.
And what did you hear from them?
At first, it was just a friendly reach out. Hey, we just want to understand what you're doing. Then there were subpoenas and then testimony. And finally, they issued us what's called a Wells notice in November last year. We issued them our Wells response. We took both those things public in January. And then finally, just recently, we said enough is enough. Let's go public. Let's go to court.
Ted, did you actually think the SEC would sue?
We weren't sure. What we knew is we and everybody else in this industry needed clarity one way or the other. So we said to the SEC, you've let us know that you think there's infraction here. We're going to tell the world that. So one way or the other, you're going to give us clarity. Either you choose to go ahead and we can fight this out in court, or you back down, and that in and of itself will be guidance.
Okay, now you must have seriously big balls to go against the SEC. What are you thinking?
We've been in this business a long time. I started Kick over 10 years ago. And along the way, I've dealt with many bullies along the way. And in the past, I've made mistakes with how I've done that. I've been quiet. I've been fearful. And what I've learned is the best way when a bully punches you in the face is to start punching back.
Okay, but this is not an ordinary bully. This is the US government you're messing with.
This is a group that has, I think, originally good intentions. But what we've come to discover is they continue to divide and conquer the whole industry, and everybody's in this state of fear of what will the SEC think. And at this point, this is having real impact on our ability to compete on a global stage.
Ted, help me understand exactly what the SEC is going after you for. Are they going after you for raising money in an ICO? Or are they going after you because you've got an instrument in circulation that doesn't comply with SEC requirements?
This is one of the really interesting things. In our original Wells notice that we received from them back in November, they talked about both KIN that we sold in the token distribution event 18 months ago, but also its usage today and the KIN that the KIN Foundation was going to give out and was giving out. But today in their suit, they don't talk about anything to do with KIN being used today or anything to do with the KIN Foundation. It's purely about the token sale in 2017. So to me, that's exciting. They've backed down the idea that KIN today being used in dozens of apps by millions of people is a security. They made no comment on that today when they did back in November.
Ted, from the documents I've read, it seems like they're nailing you for luring investors to invest and telling them that they would make profit. How would this go against the Howey test?
That is not what the Howey test is. Just because something can become more valuable does not make it a security. Just because a group of people have a common incentive does not make it a security. The Howey test makes that very clear from the 1940s. So to us, the analysis is clear, and this is why we got excited when the Dow report came out saying the Howey test was the correct test. Well, if that's the case, then it's clear that cryptocurrencies to us do not fall within the jurisdiction of securities.
But Ted, They're claiming that you went out and enticed people to purchase the token, saying it was a good investment and saying that it would grow in value. I mean, I myself heard you saying similar things on stage back then. If this is their claim, what is your response?
I think this is a gross mischaracterization and misleading of the facts. What we did is we explained basic crypto economics. The fundamental innovation of crypto is you can issue a digital asset that has guaranteed scarcity. So, economics 101, if you have an asset where there's only so much, and if more and more people want that asset, then that asset will become more valuable. We went on to say we did not promise anything, that we, of course, could not guarantee the value of kin, and we could not guarantee the demand of kin. And in fact, if kin was only ever in KIC, it would not work. So to us, that is not a security.
Ted, as the CEO, are you worried that they could come for you personally?
This is a straight Section 5 violation with no claim of fraud. It is a pure civil suit, so it is against the company.
So Ted, you're willing to risk your entire company for this?
One of the other mischaracterizations that the SEC put forward is that this was a last-ditch Hail Mary effort, and which to them I would say there's not another messenger in the world, in the Western world, that makes money. iMessage doesn't make money. Facebook Messenger doesn't make money. WhatsApp doesn't make money. Telegram doesn't make money. And yet today, 2 years later, after we went all in on crypto, you see messengers around the world doing the same thing. Telegram, Facebook, Kakao, and Line are now all pivoting into that same thing. So I don't call it a Hail Mary. I call it one of the best plays in the history of business.
That's Ted Livingston, and he seems like he's getting ready for a fight. Let's cross over to Stephen Pally for a more legal view. Stephen, good to have you back. Stephen, is this thing real?
It's definitely real. It's a lawsuit that was filed in federal court in the Southern District of New York. It's before something that we refer to in law as an Article 3 judge, that is an actual real live federal judge. We can get into the facts in a moment, but what's interesting about this is the SEC didn't sue them for securities fraud. They sued them for failing to register the token as a security. And I believe, and I'm sure the world will correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the first instance of the SEC actually going to a federal court and suing a token issuer for violating the registration provisions of the Securities Act of 1933. The other failure to register cases, as far as I'm aware, have all been settled in an administrative context. So this is actually from the standpoint of watching the SEC, looking at how they're going after token issuers, that in and of itself is pretty big news.
Is KIC in trouble?
Yes. I mean, if the SEC sues you in federal court in New York, you're in trouble. Now, I will say this. Just because they're in trouble doesn't mean that they're going to lose. Any complaint that is decently written by a decent lawyer is going to make the reader think, oh no, that's bad. I think, we're already starting to see what the arguments are in response. If I were defending them, I would say, look, the argument that the SEC is making is, in effect, that because a company that is doing badly launches a new product, there's something wrong or criminal about that. And that couldn't be. I would argue that what they've done is they've taken a lot of out-of-context quotes from people who aren't lawyers, and they've strung them together to create a fake narrative that is a product of regulatory overreach, and they're going to mix that regulatory overreach with a misapplication of a 70-year-old law that has 70-year-old case that has absolutely nothing to do with crypto. They'll also say that this is the first time that anybody has bothered to take the SEC to the mat, and we're prepared to do that, and we'll take it all the way up to the Supreme Court if we have to, and get a new case law to explain why the Howey test shouldn't apply to crypto assets. It's not. I don't love the facts that the SEC has laid out from the standpoint of defending it, and I think that their strategy of focusing on registration and not fraud is wise, but it's not an unwinnable case.
Stephen, how much is this going to cost KIC to defend? Is the $5 million in the fund enough, or will they need more?
I don't think $5 million is enough. According to the Defend Crypto website, they've already spent $5 million, and they haven't been in court yet. Defense lawyers for this sort of case can easily cost $1,000 an hour, sometimes more. Taking it all the way up, some of it depends on the number of depositions, whether it goes to trial, how much the appeal costs, but it could easily cost $10, $15, $20 million? Sure. I don't think $5 million will be enough if they intend to take this all the way to the mat and to use really good lawyers to do so.
If the ruling does go in favor of Kik, does the SEC have to refund the legal fees incurred by Kik? I mean, the SEC is a big organization funded by taxpayers' money, and here they are bullying a small company with legal bills that could literally close them down.
No, we have the American rule is that the people pay their own legal fees. I don't think that there's any chance. There are some exceptions. I think there is zero chance that a court will order the SEC to reimburse defense costs. That's not going to happen.
Stephen, let's stop talking like lawyers. I want you to take your legal hat off, and I want you to tell me what you really think about what's actually going on here.
Bitcoin never needed a legal defense fund. Look, I read the emails, taking off my hat, taking off my lawyer hat. This was a way for people to make a lot of money quickly and to spend it however they saw fit. And now they're basically asking for a get-out-of-jail-free card. They're asking for an exception to the laws that apply to everyone else. I don't think it's reasonable. I wouldn't put my money into their defense fund. That said, I respect the fact that in the United States, everyone is entitled to defend themselves. Laws change. I do think our laws will change. I do also think personally that certain parts of our securities regulation do need to be updated and refined to deal with innovative new technologies. I don't think this is the case personally, not as a lawyer again, but personally, this isn't the case that I would take as my mantle for that purpose.
I guess that's the answer I was really looking for. After the break, we take a look at how to spend $4 billion. Stay tuned.
Christian, buddy, come sit over here. Now, the advertising offers have been flooding in. Look at the pile of offers I've got here for you. Look, let's just take a pic. Picture this. You're hiking through the Rocky Mountains, okay? And you're carrying gorgeous rosewood designer door on your back. And you look into the camera, and then you say, oh. No, yeah, you're right. It's terrible idea. For the next one, you'll be carrying a refrigerator on your back, environmentally friendly refrigerator, and then your line is, well, actually, it's just one word. We'll put that one on ice, okay? Yeah. This is a hot dog chain. You're carrying this huge hot dog on your...
Enough! I've had it. No more carrying, no more saying that word ever again. I'm a serious actor. I have depth. Why can't you get me something with like an office with a tie, for example?
Action! Bitcoin is crashing. We have to sell
Bitcoin is a bubble! Hodl. 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 I have to find a new agent.
This special episode of Crypto Trader from New York City is brought to you by Algos. With over a decade experience in facilitating optimal trading opportunities, Algos provides projects and exchanges with bespoke trading opportunities. Visit algos.io for more details. Block.one, the parent company of EOS, announced last week that it was launching a new, decentralized social media platform on the EOS network. Voice is designed to take the power and revenue from the hands of the big centralized corporations and put it back in the hands of the community. Brendan Bloomer is the CEO of Block.one, and boy, I've got a lot of questions for him. Brendan, last week in the heart of Washington, the crypto market was anxiously waiting this top secret announcement from Block.one, and then bang, Bloomberg ruins everything. They published the story ahead of time that EOS, or Block.one, is launching a social media platform on the EOS network. Why is this such big news?
Well, blockchain is really an excellent vehicle to disrupt existing social media platforms. It brings not only transparency and accountability to the platform, but it leverages blockchain-based identity to allow integrity throughout the entire system. One of the big problems we have in social media is that it's riddled with fake accounts, bot mobs, catfish, all sorts of things, you name it. And there's really no accountability. It leads from everything to fake news to a lot of malicious behavior. So by leveraging blockchain-based identity, not only can we clean up that behavior, but we can also autonomously recognize value and distribute tokens, which allow people to be the beneficiaries of the platform opposed to just the company itself.
Brendan, is this platform like Facebook, like Twitter? What kind of functionality can we expect from it?
So over time, it will evolve to have pieces of functionality of all. It's not a direct comparison one-to-one with any existing platform, but it is more initially, our initial product is more of a public social network. So you may draw some similarities to things like Twitter. But there is a lot more ability to control what you see and how your content appears in other people's feeds and visibility across the platform as a whole. We bring transparency to advertisement, if you will.
Brendan, is it really going to be totally decentralized? Is it going to be a true open source social media platform that is not controlled by a central entity and that really distributes the revenues to the community?
So in terms of, there's different components to decentralization. We're absolutely decentralizing the economy of attention. If you think of, that's exactly what social media platforms are. They basically sell attention. So we're decentralizing the control over that component. When it gets into content moderation and these sorts of things, we're starting with centralized moderation just to make sure that we can make it a compliant platform with multiple different types of jurisdictions. But we do have some longer term plans towards a road towards decentralizing the content moderation itself. But those are they won't be revealed at launch. So it'll be a mixture of both.
Okay, so if it's going to be a mixture, and the decentralization plans aren't going to be announced at launch, what is it that's going to make the community trust that it will eventually be decentralized?
Well, we have some plans to allow the community to start to flag certain types of content. But what's great about the blockchain is that when we do censor according to laws, obviously we do these things based off of GDPR. You know, every different region and jurisdiction has a different a set of rules around moderation. But blockchain makes it really transparent. So you can see when we were forced to take action in order to make sure that the product maintains compliance so it can service mainstream customers.
Brendan, I think one of the reasons why Twitter works is because people can hide behind avatars. Will people be able to remain anonymous on this platform?
Anonymity will be an option once you've gone through the process of sign up, but it will not allow you to participate in the tokenized economy. And unfortunately, because of the global regulatory environment around distributing value to people, we need to make sure that we're compliant in places like the United States, OFAC sanctions, and these other things if we're going to start offering tokens. So we'll make the platform available for everybody, but in order to take advantage of its full functionality, you will need to go through an authentication process.
So Brendan, it sounds super interesting, and I'm sure you guys have spent a lot of time, effort, and money, and that's really what I want to talk to you guys about. You raised a wheelbarrow full of money. You raised $4 billion. And recent reports say that there's only $3.2 billion left. That means that you've spent $800 million in a year. Now, I've got two questions here. First of all, what have we got to show for the $800 million? And the next question is, when did you intend to spend the balance? $3.2 billion. A lot of critics are saying that you're just not spending it fast enough.
So, all great questions. Just a couple corrections and clarifications I want to get through. So we had done a series of fundraising prior to launching the EOS product, and that is exactly what it was. It was a token, it was a digital good that we sold, so it was revenue to the business that will be used in the best interest of the company and how we want to grow that organization. Part of that, the reporting around the $800 million of spending, a lot of that was related to just the natural decline in crypto. We hold a portion of our treasury in crypto assets just to maintain a diversified portfolio. And with the decline last year, you saw some of those losses. So obviously, we haven't spent $800 million on operations at this point. Money is a great tool, and it has allowed us to have a lot of opportunities, and we continue to scale as fast as we can. But the types of engineers and employees that we need are not readily available. So not only do we bring people in, we train them, and we can only grow at the speed at which there is talent available. We're opening up a new office right outside of DC. We have our Blacksburg office, and we continue to scale Hong Kong. So we're growing as fast as we healthily are able to while continuing to maintain our culture and make sure that we're hiring people at the standards required. So the growth is enormous inside, but you can only... money is, like I said, is a great tool, but it doesn't mean that you can snap your fingers and be as large as you'd like. So we're working on it.
Brendan, what about allocating some of the $3.2 billion into non-Block.one related ventures? Is that part of the strategy? Because it just seems like you guys aren't spending.
That's a great question, and it's a combination of both. So we announced the EOS VC program. We put $1 billion, or have allocated $1 billion for that program. We've already started investing in GPs around the world, which include GPs like Michael Novogratz, EOS Global, et cetera. And they're starting to deploy the capital. I think about just under 200 million has been deployed into groups. There is a big gap between what people know is theoretically possible with blockchain, and actually people getting the ideas fleshed out and have organizations with teams ready to invest. So we don't want to just start outlaying capital against healthy fundamentals in terms of traditional venture capital. We're trying to play the long game and ensure that the money gets in the right hands with people that are actually going to make a difference with the software. So we're moving on that as fast as we hopefully are able to as well. And we're starting to see a lot more projects. Like I said, the teams are young, the ideas are young, the technology is young. Only a year ago, before EOS.io came, were a lot of the theoretical use cases actually practically implementable.
This New York episode of Crypto Trader is brought to you by CGCX, the world's first fully insured digital asset platform. Facebook is moving full steam ahead on its crypto plans. This despite a growing number of calls from the board for Mark Zuckerberg to step down as chairman. With growing concern that Mark Zuckerberg simply has too much power in his hands, the company announced this week that they were looking for node operators to confirm their crypto transactions. Facebook intends to charge each node operator $10 million for a license, and they're looking to sell 100 licenses. That'll bring in about $1 billion worth of licensing fees. CNBC has also learned that the company plans to announce its crypto plans in its June report, and it will be launching a white paper which should be published on the 18th of June. We also understand that employees will be able to receive parts of their salaries in crypto. With me in the studio to take a deeper look at what we know about Facebook's plans, I've got Frank Chaparro, who's now a director.
I am
at
a
the
director.
Block. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to you.
So Frank, we know Facebook is all in on crypto. They've got David Marcus there, who's an ex-PayPal employee. They are launching a stablecoin that's going to be backed by a whole array of coins. What else do we know?
So it's not necessarily the fact that everyone's behind it, right? You do have the COO and CTO, according to the information's report, that are kind of skeptical of what's going on. Mark Zuckerberg's very interested in this thing and apparently has taken a particular interest in it relative to maybe some of the other businesses Facebook is involved in. The other things we know outside of the fact that this is a stablecoin is the fact that it is likely going to be announced this summer. The June 18th date is very interesting to me. If I was Facebook, I would move the goalpost just to mess with the reporter. I'd announce it on the 20th or the 17th just to be a jerk. But what's interesting to me is, and I think this is very important and something that your listeners should, or your viewers should consider, is the fact that announcing something, releasing a white paper is not the same thing. We know this in crypto, right? You had Justin on, the announcer of the announcer of the announcers. Announcing something and releasing a white paper is not the same as actually releasing the product.
When do you think the product's coming online?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked, because I actually think I have an understanding. We've seen reports of 2020, and I think that makes a lot of sense based off of two things. Regulatory, right? Let's focus on that for a second. We remember when BACT announced back in 2017 or August 2018, I think it was, and everyone was excited about this new crypto exchange, and it was going to do this with all these bells and whistles. Where are we now?
Well, no one knows where BACT is. That's what we know.
No one knows where the futures are. Nobody knows if they're a custody solution or exchange, and a lot of question marks hang over the environment with regards to that. That's the key issue facing
So you think
Facebook.
You think it's regulatory?
Well, I think that they're talking to the CFTC. The chairman of the agency said that he talked to Facebook about this project. They're going to want to do this by the books because of all the issues they've had with data and privacy. They're not going to just bulldoze this thing through. They're going to do it right. They're going to do it by the books, and that's going to take a lot of time for the regulators to understand what the project is, how they're going to go about doing that. So this whole idea, I saw something in some reports about ATMs. We're not going to see ATMs with Facebook coin in June. That's not going to happen. I don't think that'll happen this year. There's also job ads that they have listed on LinkedIn, right? We reported that there were 28. We're talking about data scientists, we're talking about engineers, we're talking about marketers. It takes time to hire people, right? I mean, how long, and with Facebook's reputation, you're not going to fill those seats quickly, right?
They're becoming the biggest employer of blockchain people in the world very, very quickly. They've had ads running for a long time, and they keep employing people. So they're very serious about what's going on here. I'd love to see a scenario where the SEC take on Facebook, like they're taking on Kik. Can you imagine a scenario like that?
Facebook's not going to be in the situation that kicks in, because I really do think, just based off of all of the hurdles. I mean, we've seen the as you said before the segment, you know, the dispute between the board members and Zuckerberg over the chairmanship. They're not going to let the company go down this road again, where they have to go head on to the government and you know, deal with all these murky issues. They're gonna approach this very, very cautiously.
Okay, they've got 2 billion customers. That means that when they launch, there's 2 billion crypto wallets in circulation. Is that a scary thing? I mean, you know, you've got this power in Mark Zuckerberg's hands with 2 million customers.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a little Orwellian, right? It could be really, really good for the industry in terms of adoption if they do it right, and if they, you know, have that outside governance that ensures that Facebook can't have sort of a draconian rule over this network. So it really just depends on what the details are when that white paper comes out. And trust me, when that white paper comes out, I mean, everyone's going to stop what they're doing and run through this thing, and then we can come back and talk about whether or not this is scary or not scary.
But it is going to be draconian. You've got Mark Zuckerberg, who won't step down. He won't move. He wants to keep the chairmanship. Now you've got him controlling a currency, which is decentralized to people who pay him $10 million. That's, for me, that sounds like a very scary thought. And the other thing that scares me is that this is not going to bring more people into crypto, because people aren't going to know they're using crypto. They're going to have this new button on Facebook, which is a wallet. They're going to press wallet and they're going to be able to transfer money. I don't believe that Facebook's going to have private keys. I don't believe Facebook's going to have any of that.
Not your keys, not your Facebook coin.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it definitely could. I mean, think about the conversation that's starting on the internet and traditional media. Anything that can bring more attention to the space is certainly going to help different platforms and different cryptocurrencies, and can help with adoption.
Well, you know what I'm interested in? I want to know what Larry Sumack and what Udi Wertheimer think of the Facebook coin. Let me know on Twitter. Warren Buffett is apparently offering $5 million to anyone that can get him out of lunch with Justin Sun. Warren Buffett got home one evening last week, opened up his Twitter account, and saw that a certain 29-year-old Justin Sun, the founder of Tron and the CEO of BitTorrent, had been the highest bidder of the 20th annual Glide charity dinner. In the last 19 years of this initiative, most winning bidders have elected to remain anonymous. And in fact, up until today, we don't know who they are. They go to the dinner to meet the tycoon and to absorb every word that he has to say. But Justin Sun is having none of that. Instead, he's gone all out. He tweeted on early in the week, alerting investors that he's working on a big announcement. He bid over $1 million more than anyone else. And then when he won, he rode the marketing and PR out of it like only he could do. Some experts say that he got over 10x his return just on the PR. Now, most media outlets have already interviewed Justin about his motives, and of course, he gave all the right answers. He's been inspired by Warren Buffett's value investing, he's a big fan of Warren Buffett, he's a big fan of the Glide Foundation. But I have some other questions for Justin. So Justin, I'm ready to go for lunch. Super excited. Who's coming with us?
So basically, I want to select the most representative people in the crypto space to join the lunch with the Warren Buffett.
Justin, is there a chance that someone from the Tron community will be with us at lunch?
I think definitely your idea is really good. Right now, we are also considering the possibility we will doing, but I don't know how to doing that. But we are considering have like a more like a lottery or competition selected from TRX and BTT holders.
Justin, can you imagine how Warren Buffett is feeling right now? For 19 years, he's been running this lunch, and the bidders are always anonymous. They go there to listen to every word that he says, but not this time. This time, a certain crazy 29-year-old has put it all over Twitter and every other media outlet in the world. And instead of going to listen, this year, the winning bidder is actually going to teach Warren Buffett. How do you think poor Mr. Buffett feels?
First of all, I see the news from the Reuters and Bloomberg. Warren Buffett said he is very delighted I have won the bid. At the same time, he's looking forward to meet myself and my friend. And the other side, I think Warren Buffett will think this meeting is very interesting and also a lot of the thoughtful meeting actually. Because first of all, Warren Buffett is 16 years older than me. So definitely from these meetings, he can know about lots of the things younger generations are doing. And then the second thing, actually, I want to introduce lots of the progress in the crypto space. I'm thinking right now install the first crypto wallet for the Warren Buffett, download like first the exchange like Warren Buffett, and help him to get first crypto for him for the Warren Buffett. And some of my friends reminds me that Warren Buffett is not using smartphone, so it's using like the phone back to like a Nokia like a era. So that's why I'm also want to bring some like smartphone with powered by all the blockchain application. I want to show him like how the blockchain works and how like the decentralized protocol, decentralized applications, decentralized finance works.
Justin, I know you're a crazy guy, but do you really think that after a 3-hour lunch with Warren Buffett, the same guy that doesn't even have a smartphone, do you really think he'll actually buy Bitcoin?
Yeah, sure. I think 3 hours may not be enough for pursuing somebody buying Bitcoin. But at the same time, so basically my purpose for this meeting is just for the communication. Communication is the key for everything. So that's why I just want Warren Buffett to use the blockchain, use Bitcoin, use the Tron network to see how all those amazing things works. I think as long as he can learn these things, I think these meetings already is very fruitful.
Justin, the $4.5 million that you paid for lunch, where did that money come from?
So basically this time it's all come from the revenue we made from BitTorrent as business. Because the reason is also the Glide Foundation is San Francisco focused foundation. Also the Rainberry and BitTorrent is based in San Francisco for almost 18 years. So that's why we also want to devote ourselves into the local community and the local charity. So that's why I also made the Rainberry, aka BitTorrent, to make the donation.
So Justin, I know you're crazy, but I need to ask you this question. What gave you this idea? What were you thinking to bid for the Warren Buffett auction?
I think it is like the last year, around like the same time, like May or something. And I see the news like Warren Buffett have an auction actually. So that's why it triggers me. I thought like I was the like long time believer for Warren Buffett, and same time I'm like I'm in the crypto space for so long. So that's why I want like introduce all the stuff to Warren Buffett, because I just think he didn't have the right source of all the crypto news. I think he all learned the Bitcoin from the media. So that's why I want to do the auction. But at that time I can't do that because you need to have like a pre-qualify for the auction, stuff like that. So I have passed the date. So I have to wait for years to do that. But this is also it's extremely hard for me to keep this secret because I have I'm gonna do the auction for a year, but I haven't told like anyone like at all. So I just like secretly finish all the auction.
Well, Justin, I think you're a genius. I think this initiative is genius. I think it's going to do wonders for the crypto community. And I'm really excited to go for lunch. Just let me know when and where. Stay tuned for more Crypto Trader after the break.
Christian, buddy, come sit over here. Now, the advertising offers have been flooding in. Look at the pile of offers I've got here for you. Look, let's just take a pic. Picture this. You're hiking through the Rocky Mountains, okay? And you're carrying gorgeous rosewood designer door on your back. and you look into the camera, and then you say, "Oh."
No.
No, yeah, you're right. It's terrible idea. For the next one, you'll be carrying a refrigerator on your back, environmentally friendly refrigerator, and then your line is, well, actually, it's just one word. We'll put that one on ice, okay? Yeah. This is a hot dog chain. You're carrying this huge hot dog on your...
Enough! I've had it. No more carrying, no more saying that word ever again. I'm a serious actor. I have depth. Why can't you get me something with like an office with a tie, for example?
Action! Bitcoin is crashing. We have to sell before
Bitcoin is a bubble! Hodl. 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 I have to find a new agent.
Earlier this week, the United Nations hosted a Blockchain for Impact conference right here in their headquarters in New York City. The initiative was designed to investigate how blockchain can be used to further the agenda of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Amongst the speakers were blockchain veterans like Vinnie Lingham, Adrian Hessler, the Prime Minister of Liechtenstein, and Barak Ben Ezer, representing the Marshall Islands. Barak, welcome to Crypto Trader.
Hi, Lan. First of all, congratulations on having a baby boy today.
Thank you very much. I'm the only guy in the world who'd be in studio, and please don't tell my wife that I'm here shooting a show while she's in the hospital with our new baby boy.
Listen, the crypto revolution is not waiting for anyone, so thank you for supporting it all the way.
Thank you. Barak, what were you doing there representing the Marshall Islands?
The Marshall Islands, they're sovereign nations in the Pacific Ocean, and they recognize that there's a huge gap in the crypto market. Basically, if you look, we all love Bitcoin, but it's like an island, not really connected to the global financial system. And the reason is the legal status, actually.
So what you're saying is that the Marshall Islands believe that you can't use Bitcoin as currency today?
Yes. Today, it doesn't really integrate with the banking system. You have this ecosystem of cryptos, and then you have the global financial system and the banks and all that. And it's like an island and a mainland. They're not really, they're actually disjoined. There's no bridge between them.
So how's the Marshall Islands trying to bridge this gap?
The Marshall Islands recognize that according to the IMF, the FATF, the IRS, the SEC, real currency must be issued by a sovereign nation as its official legal tender. And so, because the Marshall Islands never had a currency of their own, they've been using the US dollar, they're now issuing a currency of their own, asserting their sovereignty. And this currency, the sovereign, will be the world's first cryptocurrency that has legal tender, official legal tender status.
Okay, I've got a lot of questions here. Does the fact that it has what does the fact that it has official legal tender status mean for the currency? What does it mean for the world?
It means that finally, banks now have no excuse, or they're actually forced to accept this new cryptocurrency for all purposes.
What do you mean forced? I mean, do they have to? Can they force the central banks around the world to accept the SOV?
Unless right now the global financial system basically says by default all those currencies, all the cryptos are not currency. Now, they have a legal framework that defines what is a legal currency, and it is something which is issued as legal tender in a sovereign nation. Now, there's this misconception, by the way, Ron, that Bitcoin is legal tender in Japan. So now is the right time to dispel this myth, and I'm actually going to announce on my Twitter that if anybody provides me any proof that Bitcoin is legal tender in Japan, I will grant him 1 Bitcoin.
Wow, okay, that's a big bet. So I think I know where the answer is, and I'm going to go for you. But let's talk about what the Marshall Islands is doing. Are they launching a centralized, government-controlled cryptocurrency? I mean, are they just taking money and making it digital?
They're actually not taking an existing currency and making it digital. They're issuing a new currency that will be exclusively issued on the blockchain, and it will be legal tender for all taxes, dues, fees, and purposes in the Marshall Islands. Now, because it is legal tender in the Marshall Islands, they are very confident, the Marshalese, that it will become a global trading currency, because it will be a fiat currency, decentralized, can integrate with banks, while still retaining all the benefits of a cryptocurrency.
Okay, is it centralized or decentralized? Short answer.
It is decentralized. It's actually the only currency in the world that is decentralized both according to the law and according to the code.
Okay, now I know that I've got viewers out there and I know what the next question is, so let me ask it before you guys think it. This sounds to me like a bunch of Israeli people who are scamming a small island in the middle of the Pacific to make money. Convince me otherwise.
Okay, first of all, I'm one of only 3 Israelis in this project. The rest are actually Americans. Our CTO and VP R&D are both.
So it's a bunch of people scamming a little island in the Marshall Islands.
We actually, you raise a good question that leads us to how this currency is distributed. Actually, our company that develops this unique blockchain, it's a blockchain that has unique compliance capabilities because it is going to be a new type of cryptocurrency, a currency of a nation. We're only paid in this currency. So we actually we take all the risk on this project with the country. 80% of the SOV currency, it's a predetermined money supply, goes to the country itself, its citizens, and to the SOV Development Fund that was launched yesterday in the UN.
Then there's 20% for you guys.
10% goes to the global investors that are going to invest early in this project to finance it.
Then there's 10% for you guys.
10% goes into support the developments and operations of the SOV blockchain from now until the end of time.
Okay, so you're not getting a whack of money up front and you're not controlling 10% of the currency forever?
No.
No. Who is on the board and who determines what happens with this currency? Is it you? Is it someone from the Marshall Islands? Who is it?
The currency will actually be governed from compliance purposes. It's obviously the Marshallese authorities, but from the actual governance of the currency, there's the SOV Development Fund that will have 7 directors. 2 of them appointed by the Marshall Islands. 2 of them, for now, are appointed by our company. Later on, it will be voted on chain. And the other 4 are going to be luminaries from the blockchain space, monetary economists, etc., that will be nominated by the other directors on the SOV Development Fund.
Now, that's all the time we have for today. I left my wife in the hospital. She's just given birth. So I'm going to go and spend some time with my newborn son. I'll be back next week. Until then, I'll be on Twitter, CryptoManRun. And you should trade well, my friends.
Crypto Trader is proudly brought to you by eToro. Discover a simpler way to trade and invest in cryptocurrencies and more.